About sports, me and you.
Get you to do your money.
Roope and Rumsey is their name. Chat about things from the latest game. Roope and Rumsey, oh Roope and Rumsey. It's time for Roope and Rumsey.
All right, well, welcome to the R&R show. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the best little sports show ever. I'm your host, Michael Roope. This is my co-host, Wwe Rumsey. Hello, William.
Howdy.
All right, well, today's show is presented by the fine folks of Kelsey Chevrolet, your local business for a car dealer. Also, Richard Craig and Craig Distributing Company. The food is going to be provided by Bob Rybolt and JTM Foods, and Impact Sports hooked William and I up with some thermoses. Thank you,
Very
Casey
nice.
Roberts. All right, well, today we have a special guest, none other than first team All-American Junior World Champion, Mason Parris. Hello, Mason.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Hey, well, listen, thank you for being on our show on this Memorial Day. We're going to kind of dive right in. Basically, what have you been up to these days with the, everything being shut down with the coronavirus?
Yeah, it's been really tough with everything being shut down. Like, our season got cut off pretty early this year, like right before the NCAA tournament, so that was disappointing. So then I've just been home. I've been working out, taking a few online classes and just like been trying to get my workouts here and there.
Okay, now when you say you get your workouts in, does the coaches from Michigan still stay in contact with you during this time and make sure that you're staying on course, not losing any weight, I'm assuming?
Yeah, they still give us calls all the time, make sure we're still doing what we're supposed to,
Okay, now what does a diet usually consist of for you? How many calories are you intaking on a daily basis?
Well, it kind of depends, but I mean, my coaches, they basically told me to eat as much as I could.
Okay.
Even like some of the bad calories were fine for me because they knew I would burn it off because like how much I work out.
Well, absolutely. Now what are you weighing in at right now?
Like 260.
260. Now, are you happy with that weight, or are you wanting to put any more on, or?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy where I'm at. Like maybe get up to like 265, but
around 265.
Yeah, I don't want to get like too big,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So we've been doing like shows on the Michael Jordan documentary. Each off season, he would like go in the lab and work on something specific, and then come back for the next season. So obviously, last off season, you packed on some pounds. Is there anything you're going to work on in this off season? Specifically?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Last year was definitely me trying to get bigger and stronger, which would like really helps me out a lot.
I think it worked.
Yeah. And then this year, I think it's just like more focusing on my wrestling and all that stuff.
Okay. Very cool.
Now, how much weight did you pack on from your last year at Lawrenceburg to your first year in Michigan and then your second? So what did you weigh in leaving Lawrenceburg?
Yeah, I wrestled 220 my senior year. I didn't cut any weight, so I was like 218 around there.
Okay.
And then like I got to school, and I was probably by the end of probably my freshman year, I was probably like 238 or so.
Okay.
So I probably put on like 20
Wow,
pounds.
that's a lot of weight, and obviously, anytime you're in a big time program like Michigan, those strength and conditioning coaches know how to pack it on. So,
Absolutely.
So awesome. Now, let's talk a little bit going into your Michigan days. Obviously, when you got up there, there was a lot of debate on whether you were going to redshirt or not. Did you have any feeling going into the year that they had plans?
The original plan was for me to like redshirt, kind of see where I'm at.
Okay.
Because most of the kids that go into like college wrestling wrestle all year round, and like I played 2 other sports, so they wanted to make sure I could like acclimate to like having a full year of wrestling and getting better and having college coaches, But then I went to some tournaments. I did really well. I beat a lot of the top guys, and like the coaches were like, we need you now. We need you to.
All systems go, huh?
Yeah.
Well,
I think you beat a few ranked wrestlers.
yeah, I think right out of the gate you beat the number one.
Yeah. My very first match was the number one guy in the country.
What did that feel like? You know, coming off a red shirt, like I'm going in and I knock off the number one.
I mean, I was super confident. I was really excited. I was excited to see how I do against like those type of guys and on that level. And
I have a question. So, was there a time like, and it could be any time in your life where you're just like something you did on the mat or maybe on the football field, like you're just like, I'm a world class athlete that you knew in your own head. Did anything happen like on the field of play that you're like,
He put you on the spot.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, it's certainly beating the number one guys.
Right. Well, I know
status
no, definitely that. But I just like maybe the first time that it happened, or was that the first time?
I mean, I've had a lot of stuff like that to boost my confidence. Like just like me going through when I was younger, like coming from like Lawrenceburg and like beating the top guys in the nation, and ended up being number one in the country during high school and stuff like that. So
I think I saw a clip of you when you were 11 years old on Channel 9 with Ken Brew. I found out I was going through research and they were interviewing you and they were just like, that was very cool.
Ken Brew. Now, talking a little bit more about your freshman year, I think one of the highlights probably that jumped out at me that had been awesome for you, being from Michigan, when you beat Chase Singletary from Ohio State. You know, how did that feel with such a big rival, and you basically sealing the duel?
Yeah, it was awesome. We were at Ohio State and we were in their basketball arena, so it was completely packed because the Michigan and Ohio State rivalry. And then it ended up coming down to my match, and like I was feeling really confident, really excited for it, and like I love being in that atmosphere, you know.
Absolutely. I mean, as a competitor, you can't ask for anything better than, you know, that rivalry and, you know, just the chaos and the fans. Now, after you know, you winning that, you know, I had to feel pretty good getting back to Ann Arbor and you know, walking around campus there, huh?
Yeah, it was cool.
Absolutely. Well, listen, your freshman year, you know, obviously a lot of highlights during that. You led the Wolverines with 32 wins and 13 falls. I mean, did those meet your expectations going into the freshman year? I mean, obviously you didn't know whether you were going to redshirt or not, but, you know, obviously when they unleashed you, did you meet what you were, you know, setting out to do?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really know how well I would be able to do on like a college level. I always did really well in high school on the international, like national stage, and so I mean, I kind of just went into my freshman year just kind of trying to learn as much as I could, you know.
Absolutely. Now,
and you had a mentor, Adam Kuhn, correct? Mm-hmm. Are you still in contact with him?
Yeah. I still get to wrestle with him every once in a while, but he's been traveling a lot of international stuff because he just does pretty much Greco now.
Okay, very cool.
So now, you know, fast forward, you know, obviously you know, you did well your freshman year. I kind of want to talk a little bit about the sophomore campaign. You know, right out of the gate, Michigan, you know, it makes you as one of the two team captains. I had to feel pretty good as your, you know, just basically second full season with the, you know, the Wolverines.
Yeah, it was really cool to be like honored like that, just like my very sophomore year of my second year in college. So that's
unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, I you know, and I don't know what the stats are, but I couldn't imagine too many sophomores right away getting that honor, which is a really big deal.
So how did they pick that? Did the coaches pick that, or did the team? Does the team vote on
it's just the team votes who they want, and then the coaches also like have an input on who they
awesome.
want.
Yeah,
awesome.
that's big time there. Well, so then your sophomore year, you started off with a bang, winning the Black Knight invite, and then also the Cliff King Las Vegas Invitational. And you never really looked back. I mean, what did it feel to get out of the gates early and just start picking off a lot of the top-ranked guys?
Yeah, I was coming into the season with a lot of confidence, and I was really excited to wrestle. I wanted to show everyone how much better I've gotten from the year before, and I wasn't the same wrestler that I was.
I think everybody quickly realized
Especially,
that.
Matt Stencil.
Yeah.
I saw you beat him, how many times?
It was like
three times in a 4 week
yeah.
span.
And I did make a little note. I'm probably thinking that that poor guy is probably asking the athletic director of Central Michigan to make sure the Wolverines somehow aren't on their schedule anymore. So, but no, great job there. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and do you think your biggest win this year was over? Probably screw up his last name, Tony Cassiope.
Cassiope.
You think that was your biggest win this year?
Yeah, that was a really big win for me. I was 2 in the country. He was 3 in the country. We were at home. Really big Iowa match, and they're number 1 in the country. So it came down to me. Well, I was the very last match. That Iowa was really good, so we were losing by a pretty good amount. And then it was like everyone got really excited for my match because they knew how good of a match it was going to be.
Yeah.
And then I went out there and I wrestled like really, really well. And
I had to feel good.
So what's your, say 15 minutes before you're going in a match like that, what's your pre-match routine?
Yeah, I've had pretty much a very similar routine like my entire life before I wrestle. I get a really good warm up in and like right before that, and then I listen to music. I get my mind in the right state, and then I like right before I go out there, I try to break like a little bit of a sweat, so I'm like ready to go out there, and then.
What kind of music you pumping in?
It kind of depends what I'm feeling.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got a variety on your soundtrack.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now as far as like nerves, going into your freshman year to sophomore year, was the nerve a little bit? Did you have as much nervousness going into the sophomore year as the freshman year, or did you even have any nerves in your freshman year?
Yeah, I mean, I was nervous. That's just like part of wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Being nervous, I was nervous as a little freshman.
Yeah.
But like last year, I just kind of learned that nerves is part of it, and I kind of learned how to embrace being nervous, and then I just kind of used it to my benefit.
Now, a couple other things that jumped out at me when you guys won against Rutgers. At Madison Square Garden, no less. Is that the best venue you've ever been in? What's your favorite venue, I guess, that you've ever wrestled in?
I mean, Madison Square Garden was like just an awesome place.
Yeah, that's like the pinnacle for most
Yeah,
people. I mean, that's unbelievable.
It's just awesome for me to say like I competed at that place where like so many great people have.
Not only competed but won, so that makes it even sweeter.
For
so. Great stuff there. One other thing, and I wanted to talk about your sophomore year. You had a dislocated finger during the North Carolina match. Now, what was you thinking when that happened? How did you feel? Did it prevent you from doing anything that you wanted to do during that match?
Yeah, it was our very first match of the year last year, and I was like took a shot on the guy. And like my finger was like bent all the way backwards, and like I've had problems with this finger before, but I just walked over to my trainer, and everyone was like in the crowd was like, oh. And then my trainer, I was like, just pop it back in. He just popped it right back in. And I was like, all right, I'm ready to go.
You're ready to go. Well, I was going to say, I mean, toughness has always been a trademark for you, even dating back to your Lawrenceburg days as a freshman. When you got blindsided by a Taylor lineman. Huh? Do you remember that?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I was going to say, you probably didn't realize that I would know that. But obviously toughness has always been a trademark of you. You get a lot of that from your father, basically stating, never let them, see you hurt or in pain, even dating back from that day, probably then to your dislocated finger.
Yeah, sure.
You just kind of, let that roll right off you. So awesome stuff there.
And then one more thing from your sophomore camp. So you were named first team All-America. How'd you find out about that? Would you do anything to celebrate?
I mean, it wasn't the way I wanted it. I wanted to be a national champ. I wanted to,
That's what you build up for.
And you would have been.
That's what I was working for all year. And then, I was a little disappointed that I didn't be able to do that, but it was really cool to be able to be honored as an All-American.
Without a doubt. That's an unbelievable honor. Obviously in the Big Tens, there was such a build-up for when you wrestled Gable. And talk about what your thought process was leading up to it. That was obviously the match the college season in my eyes. There was such a build-up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was you thinking going into that?
Yeah, there was a lot of hype around our match. A lot of people were talking about it, and I've heard stuff about it for like a long time. How we haven't wrestled each other and stuff. But I was trying to go into that match like any other, and I kind of felt him out for Big Tens, because I figured out kind of how he wrestled and like what he liked to do, and then I was going to use that to my advantage for nationals.
For the nationals, yeah.
Because I kind of like was able to feel him for the first time, and
yeah. Now, have you ever met him before that match? Have you any interaction with him at all?
No, we've somehow like never really wrestled each other.
Yeah, that's kind of amazing in my eyes. With you guys coming up through the ranks.
He was a little angry in his post-match interview.
Yeah.
He was talking about Twitter going at him and stuff like that.
Well, now speaking of that, obviously any competitor, they want that time to redeem, get the rematch, and that had to be tough not getting, like you had said, the opportunity to wrestle in the NCAAs after that. So I know you're going to get your chance, this year. A couple of the highlights on your sophomore year: you had a 28-1 record, 11 falls, earned bonus points in 18 matches. Unbelievable. I did want to ask you, who do you think, since you've been wrestling, who would you say is your three toughest opponents that you've wrestled?
My three toughest.
Yeah, who do you feel like gave you some of the
my whole life?
Yeah,
His dad,
my father.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know. I've always liked wrestling my coaches and stuff. They've always been really tough on me, and trying to break me mentally,
Was Mark tough on Mark Kirchgasser? Was he tough on you?
Maybe in middle school.
There you go. That's
what
good stuff.
That's what Coach Gardner did to me.
Yeah,
Back in the day, wrestling for South Denver.
Listen, that sophomore year was unbelievable with an 11-1 record against national ranked opponents and 8-1 against All-Americans. Unbelievably top-notch stuff, Mason. Now, I wanted to kind of switch gears, unless you had anything that you want to follow up on that sophomore campaign.
Nope.
I want to go back to the Lawrenceburg days. Obviously, you're the most decorated athlete, not only in Lawrenceburg, but in Dearborn County history. You've got 3 state titles. You worked state and track a couple times in the shot and put and hurdles. I did want to ask you this: with gaining the weight, you think you still do the hurdles pretty well?
I don't know. I was already.
We could set something up.
I was already pretty big because all the kids that did that were really tall and skinny kids, and they would all look at me like at the state finals.
They didn't expect to see
and
someone.
they'd be like, "You're in the wrong event. The shot put ring's over there."
I thought that was really neat. But I think your mom was a hurdler back in the day.
She was a good hurdler.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And then obviously you were a 3-time All-State linebacker. With the football, it was really awesome. I think one of the greatest games that I had ever watched on a high school level, and the most excitement was the Brownstown game.
Oh, man.
With the score and how it ended. Tell me a little bit about that. That was awesome.
That game was so much fun. We knew how good Brownstown was. It was for the state to go to the state finals, and we were at home. It was the most people we've ever had in our the Lawrenceburg field, and it was like just such a cool atmosphere. Everyone was there, and it came down to like such an awesome fashion too. We had to stop them for an extra point, and then I ended up getting the tackle at the very end.
Hey,
I was right there. I was right there.
Cool.
I'm from a rival high school. That was the hardest I'd ever rooted for a Lawrenceburg team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hey, listen, unbelievable. That will probably go down as the greatest game in this area. In recent memory at least. Talking about the football career a little bit, I know you had a choice between football and wrestling. Was that a pretty hard choice to make? Because I know how much football means to you.
It was really hard. I was always I was leaning more towards football when I was younger, all the way up. But towards the end, I was I think I can really just be a great wrestler. I really want to try to excel at that.
Well, I think you made a great choice, but go ahead.
I was going to say, and then in a recent article in Dearborn County Register, it said that after your 4-year wrestling career, you may consider going back into play, maybe defensive end.
Very nice. Eh?
Yeah.
So are you thinking of maybe a little bit? Has Hardball ever reached out to you at all?
Not too much, but
I'm sure you're on his radar. I'm assuming that. I mean, I've seen some people that have done that, and I think obviously adding the weight, you'd probably project as a defensive end. And with your technique and size and quickness, I think you would project pretty well. So definitely keep that in mind. Now, a couple other things. I mean, obviously, talking about that. Rivals.com, I think I remember, had you as the 24th rated linebacker in the country coming out of high school. So there's that had to have been a tough decision,
for sure.
I think that you had made well. Basically, I also wanted to, touch base. I know your dad has been a big ringleader as far as getting Tiger Wrestling out in the forefront. With his driving force and with how well you've done, those numbers in Tigerland is really, it's probably pretty neat for you to see how much of an impact you've made on the city of Lawrenceburg.
Yeah, it's my dad started the youth program for wrestling, so I mean he started me into wrestling to get me better at football,
Yeah.
And then we got a really good program. We ended up building it up pretty well, and it was really cool to be able to
be a part of that and get it to where it was. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't think anybody could ask for a better role model for the city of Lawrenceburg.
So just to touch on your high school wrestling career, so you have an Indiana state record for most career pins in the state final tournament at 11, and then your senior year, you rolled through every wrestler. What's that like to pin every wrestler in the state tournament?
I had really high expectations for myself that my senior year I wanted to go out with a bang. I
think you did.
I wanted to just to prove how good of a wrestler I was and how much better I've gotten and stuff like that. So I mean, it was really cool for me to.
Yeah.
And then I was honored with that, and then the Mental Attitude Award my senior year.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and talking about the your wrestling career in Lawrenceburg, 206-1 was the final record. That one loss against one Chase Osborne. Do you know what Chase Osborne is up to these days?
No, he doesn't wrestle in college, or I have no idea.
Do you want me to set up a rematch with him?
Hey,
I tell you what.
On the next episode,
I'd like to make that happen. I'd like to see you work him over. So no, but absolutely phenomenal high school career. So then to jump back a little bit, to the summer of 2019. When you were, basically going at the Junior World Championships. Tell me what that was like going to another country to wrestle. How did you feel, and what was it like, the atmosphere?
Yeah, it was crazy. I wrestled the World Team Trials. My coaches were like, we want you to get more mat time. I haven't wrestled like it's a different style of wrestling international than it is with college. So I've only wrestled a few matches like that. And then I ended up winning to be on the world team, which I was really excited about. And then I was like, wow, I better practice a lot because I want to do really good international now that I'm at this point. And then once I got to Estonia, I've never been to another country before. So it was crazy going over there and training and seeing all the best wrestlers.
Now, how was your nerves going into that? Was you was you pretty amped up and nervous? Or?
Yeah, I wrestled really, really confident in that because I didn't know any of the guys at all. It was just me wrestling,
Yeah,
and
wanted to show what you can do, obviously.
I watched that match online. That guy was Amir Zaire. He looked disheveled after he looked rough after you pinned him.
Yeah, he's one of the top in heavyweights in the world now. He's won a lot of really big tournaments.
I don't think he understood what exactly just happened.
No, he did
that
not.
match. Phenomenal stuff, and they had to feel good getting that gold around your neck at the end. I mean, now how was the fans there? Were they were they crazy? I mean, how was the atmosphere there?
Yeah, wrestling's not huge in Estonia, but I mean other countries the Iranians love wrestling. They're crazy. The Russians were all there. They were crazy. And I mean, I had my little fan, like my fan.
Oh, you have a good fan crew all that follows you, which
I
always
had
nice.
a lot of people come and watch me wrestle there, a lot of family, friends, and stuff. So they were cheering just as loud for me.
And that has to feel pretty good and neat, you know, to have such a contingent always following you
for sure.
wherever you.
So was that the first time that you slipped on the USA singlet?
Yeah, it was.
How'd that feel?
It was really cool to be able to just honor like my country, you know.
For sure.
It was just
Definitely.
such an amazing experience I'll never forget.
Yeah.
Now talking about you know, your country, let's kind of jump ahead a little bit to the Olympics. I know that you qualified for the Olympic trials with that win, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any thought if you guys made any decisions whether you would like to, you know, are you all in for the Olympics and was it Tokyo, Japan? Do you guys want to pursue that this go around? Or?
Yeah, I was planning on wrestling the trials.
Okay.
And then it ended up getting postponed because of
The coronavirus and
stuff. And then so they postponed it till next year. But I'm still gonna wrestle in it, you know.
Absolutely. Well, good. I'm excited because how old are you?
20.
Okay, so 20. So you've got, you know, theoretically, you could have a couple of Olympic go-arounds. So that's going to be unbelievable.
Theoretically, you will.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but you know what I'm saying. It's going to be an awesome experience. You know, obviously to represent your country. So what do you got?
Do you want to go into just the personal questions?
Well, I kind of wrapped up that. I do want to, you know, just touch base with you. Obviously, you're an engineer major. You know, after your collegiate wrestling career is done, I know you thought maybe possibly about, you know, a year in football, see what happens there. Now, did you have any reservations about maybe becoming a WWE wrestler?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a little bit of contact with that, and I mean, I just kind of got to see right now, you know.
Yeah. Well, I know that your family has it's a family bloodline in professional wrestling.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I know that you have some family, the Nacho Libre. Can you tell me how? I mean, there's some family bloodlines here with Nacho Libre the Bull. Any idea of maybe where you would like to have your stage name in?
I don't want to look like that.
For you guys at home, we pulled out a picture of his dad and mom, you know, representing the Nacho Libre the Bull. So
Halloween costume.
I mean, are you just going to be Money Mason Parris?
Yeah, maybe.
That's very absolutely. But and for you guys at home, I actually want to interact the viewers at home with Mason. Come to our website. We'd like to see what you guys think maybe Mason's stage name in WWE should be. And I tell you what, as a gift, William and I, whoever we deem as the best stage name for Mason as a possible pursuit of the WWE career, we will get you a tumbler on the R&R show. So reach out on that. You know, what do you got there, buddy?
So, yeah, just, and somebody asked us when we posted some promos for your visit to the set, why did you choose Michigan over maybe Ohio State or any of the other big name schools? What drew you in?
Yeah, I had a lot of really good choices in schools.
Sure.
You know, it was really tough for me. I took all 5 of my visits, and I went and saw a bunch of really cool schools, and all the coaches were great. But I mean, when I came to Michigan, I was really connected with the coaches, the kids, and it was just really hard for me to turn down such an amazing program with just the academics there were just so great, and I knew like I'd be set for life if I got like a good degree from there, you know.
Absolutely. That's hey, and I think you made the right choice. One other little last fun thing that I kind of wanted to talk to you. You've obviously wrestled since you 4 you said?
Yeah, 4.
So 4 years old, you've wore a lot of different singlets. Is there any singlet that you know you like the best?
I mean, I love my USA singlet I have now. It has my name on the back, you know, so I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Now, do you get to keep any singlets that you wrestle in? Is that how that works?
Yeah, I have like so many singlets still, you know, that, I mean, one of my favorites is just like one of the Lawrenceburg ones with my name on the back,
Yeah.
and
Cool.
I have plenty of Indiana wrestling ones and stuff like that.
Let me ask you this: has your mom and dad built you a trophy room yet? I mean, you've won so much hardware and stuff. I mean, literally, I kind of wonder where we put it all. You know, with
it's my room. It's pretty close.
Probably stacked up. That's a sign of a good career. Well,
Yeah.
hey, I want to let you know my favorite all-time singlet is the Indiana High Rollers. I love that. Every time I saw that picture, I thought to myself, now that is a very cool.
Yeah, it was
we'll
really
post
funny.
that on our website to show the Indiana High Roller singlet.
And I have just one last question, wrestler to wrestler. Have you seen Vision Quest, and how many times?
Yeah, I've seen Vision. I've seen Vision Quest. I love that movie.
Is that your favorite wrestling movie?
Yeah, there is a lot of good wrestling movies too.
What's another good one?
I mean, I like the Foxcatcher movie.
Okay.
That is a good one.
Good movie.
That's a very good one. That's
very cool.
That's what's that actor's name?
Steve Carell.
Steve Carell.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, listen, great stuff, Mason.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming on. Obviously during the Memorial Day weekend. I hope to maybe for a year from now, let's redo this on Memorial Day. Touch base with you and see how things progressed through the next year. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Now, I do want to again thank our sponsors today. Once again, Kelsey Chevrolet. If you're in the market for a car, stop and see them. I know they appreciate all the support the community gives them. And to let all you know that they will be opening up a brand new body shop in July. Also want to thank Richard Craig and Craig Distributing, your local Anheuser-Busch wholesaler since 1945. I know he would like to thank the community for their support and to enjoy the holiday weekend, and please drink responsibly. Again, thank you to Bob Rybolt and JTM for the food today. We look forward to partnering up with the fine folks of JTM with all of our shows in the future. And again, thank you to Casey Roberts at Impact Sports. Anything else, Bill?
Thank you.
All right, buddy. Hey, listen, I appreciate everything. You've been great. And guys, I appreciate you guys, tuning in. Let us know what you think. Give us some feedback. See you guys next time. Thanks.